What's up, everybody? I'm Ryan Thomas. Welcome to the Thomas Take Sports Podcast. I'm your host, once again, bringing you another edition of the Thomas Take. And as always, I always try to bring the latest in the worldwide news of sports. Today, obviously, March 19th, 2017. We are fast approaching UFC 210 in Buffalo. Very excited for that. I will be in attendance, and I look forward to recapping the event and recapping my experience, which will be my first experience to a UFC event live, as I have watched hundreds of pay-per-views but have never attended an event live, and this will be the first one in my hometown, Buffalo, New York, so very excited for that. Today, though, I'm going to talk about the one storyline that we will continue to hear about it. Conor McGregor versus Floyd Mayweather. Fight that has continuously been talked about time and time again. And what is the latest with that fight? Conor McGregor showed up for Mike Conley's pro boxing debut. It's a good buddy of his. And stirred the pot a little bit. Went after Dan Rafael for ESPN Boxing. He's the main reporter for ESPN Boxing. For quite some time, he's been the main guy. Conor recognized him, saw him out, proceeded to tell him that he was boxing, that he was going to shake up the world, he was going to shock the world, and that people did not know what to expect. They don't know what's coming. Floyd's going to get shook and all sorts of stuff. Saying back and forth to Dan Rafael about how he is going to take on Floyd Mayweather very soon. It's supposed to be announced for September. And the fight is likely to happen. The fight is almost done being signed. Now, I'm a big-time MMA fan. I'm a big-time boxing fan. So I know firsthand the majority of, all of Floyd Mayweather's career and Conor McGregor's career especially. And with Floyd, there had been time and time again where he would say this fight is going to be made, this fight would be signed. We all know which fight that was. That was Floyd Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao. That didn't happen until 8 years after it was originally signed. Did not happen until 2015 and was scheduled to happen chatter started happening around 2007. So for me to hold any weight in this fight and say that it's going to happen, I'm not going to do that because of the fact that Floyd Mayweather pushed Manny Pacquiao for so long. The fight just dragged on, whether it was going to happen, whether it wasn't going to happen. It just did not come to fruition for quite some time. So to say that this fight is certainly going to happen, I will never say that until I see both Floyd and Conor in the same ring. And it will be a ring. It will be a boxing match. Reportedly, it will be a boxing match. So that being said, we have a lot to look forward to in the coming months. If Conor is saying that this fight is going to happen in September, then we have March, April, May, June, July, and August to wait for this fight to be announced. Usually the fight is announced within the first month and a half, 2 months away from the fight originally happening. So only time will tell. But if I was a betting man, I would bet that it wouldn't happen. But now that Conor has stirred the pot, I would say that it is more likely to happen than what I had originally thought. For Conor McGregor to be going to these pro boxing events, something that I didn't foresee him doing, for him to be in public saying that he wants this fight, saying that he's coming for Floyd Mayweather, it does beg the question that I think this fight could happen based on that fact alone. I don't think Conor invests his time in anything that he doesn't feel is necessary, and he's investing a lot of time in this Floyd Mayweather fight. And I expected him to, in the sense that the Floyd Mayweather fight will net Conor, his biggest payday yet by a country mile, hundreds of millions of dollars. But I didn't expect it to come to fruition like this. I thought it would be just more pitter-patter and stuff like that. But for Conor to actually be going to this boxing event in support of his friend, but to be in the boxing circles, to be talking with boxers at the event, that is different. That's a different type of enthusiasm. That creates a different type of aura around this fight. And I think that there's more of a chance that it will happen than what I had originally thought. Does that mean I think it will? No. But there's more of a chance that it will happen than what I originally thought. Now, the tough part for me with this fight is, like I said, I'm a huge combat sports fan, big-time boxing fan, big-time mixed martial arts fan, and I really enjoy watching boxing and MMA as much as I can when I can. And this fight, to me, I would want to see this fight because of the fact that it's Floyd Mayweather, because of the fact that it's Conor McGregor. I'd be an idiot to say I don't want to see this fight, but I would not be an idiot to say that I don't necessarily care if this fight gets made or if this fight doesn't get made. At this point, I know what's at stake for Conor if he fights Floyd Mayweather. If he fights Floyd Mayweather and loses, he gets the payday. If he fights Floyd Mayweather and wins, he could very well retire. And I don't want to see that. I want to see Conor continue to fight for the UFC, continue to defend his belt. I think if he were to fight Floyd Mayweather and by the small percentage of a chance beat Floyd Mayweather, then he would never fight again, and that would be the end of his career. I think he's looking to wind down his career anyway as it is before the Floyd Mayweather talk even started, and I think that would become even more likely if he decides to fight Floyd Mayweather and beat him, and he beats him. So, I want to see the picture that I had originally, the picture that I had seen for Conor McGregor when he was on the come up, when he was fighting the Marcus Brimmages and the Diego Brandows and the Dennis Sievers of the world. I anticipated that he would fight those guys, beat them all, go up through the ranks of the featherweight division, defeat Jose Aldo, possibly do a rematch or vacate the belt, and then go to lightweight, work his way up, get the belt there, and then defend it multiple times and be a multiple defending lightweight champion, one of the greatest UFC lightweights of all time. Due to the fact that the UFC pushed him so aggressively, they pushed him to the point where he needed to be the face of the company because George St. Pierre was gone, because Anderson Silva had losses on his record, because of the fact that John Jones was screwing up the way he was, because of the fact that Ronda Rousey was falling apart. Timing was everything for Conor McGregor. He showed up at the perfect time and took advantage of the opportunity at the perfect moment, and now he is the number one name in the sport. And he earned all of that. He won each fight that was put in front of him, but he was given a push unlike no other. And how I say that, the reason why I say that, is because of the fact that he had fought Diego Brandow in Dublin, he'd fought Dennis Siever in Boston, and he had a $10 million world press tour right behind him all around the world with Jose Aldo when they were scheduled to fight for UFC 189. His best moment was in defeat when he lost to Nate Diaz, and he wanted that fight right away, wanted to run it back. And I respect him for that. I respect him for a lot of things that he's done in his career, but those things can't go unnoticed. Dennis Siever had been juicing. He was on some sort of performance enhancer for mixed martial artists at that time. He gets popped. Then, Dennis Siever is clean for when he fights Conor McGregor, and he looked like a complete Vitor Belfort-like shell of himself. So Conor gets a title shot off that win that propels him to the title shot with Jose Aldo. Jose gets hurt. He fights Chad Mendes. Conor fights Chad Mendes, beats him. I still think at that time in their careers, had Chad been on a longer camp, that fight probably would have been a different story. If they had been scheduled to originally fight each other like Aldo and McGregor were, had Mendes and McGregor been the fight, and they had both been given full camps, I think that fight would have been much, much different over the course of the fight for both men, not just for Mendes and McGregor. But It ended up ending in the second round with McGregor victorious. He gets the fight with Aldo, knocks him out in 13 seconds. He didn't rematch him, and I thought the UFC would kind of enforce that, and they didn't. And that just shows me that they did not really want Jose Aldo anywhere near the belt, even though now he is the promoted UFC featherweight champion. Enough was enough within a year later. So, very interesting stuff. Now, Conor is once again dictating the pace of his career, as he should, but Dana White has given Conor more pull within his career than ever before. And Dana White was the X factor to me as to whether this fight would or would not happen. And when Dana went on Conan O'Brien and said that this fight, he doesn't see how it won't happen, that was a shock of all shocks to me to hear him say that. That made me think, well, there's a very realistic chance that this fight could happen. Do I think it will? I will not believe it until I see it. So that's how I feel. I can't put the backing on Floyd Mayweather to take this fight when Floyd Mayweather has virtually nothing to gain and everything to lose. Floyd only takes fights in which he has everything to gain. And I don't think that is the case if he were to fight a guy like Conor McGregor. I think he has everything to lose in a fight with Conor McGregor, and Conor has everything to gain, win or lose. So it's a win-win for Conor. But it could be a lose-lose for the UFC, because if Conor wins the fight, he could retire. If Conor loses the fight, then he's not the number one star in the world, and Floyd is back on top. And I don't think Conor should give Floyd the satisfaction of padding his record 50-0 with his name on it, with Conor McGregor's name attached to his career. I'm sure Conor doesn't care about that. I'm sure Conor only cares about the money, as would I, but to an extent, they're two different sports for a reason, and I think Conor has plenty of challengers waiting in the wings for him at lightweight. Tony Ferguson is a guy, obviously he's not as intriguing as a Floyd Mayweather, even in a boxing match, but Tony Ferguson should be the number one UFC lightweight contender, especially after the just unprofessionalism of Khabib Nurmagomedov for UFC 209. Tony handled it with pure class, and I think that would be a huge fight, Tony and Conor, based on the fact that Tony can talk a lot of garbage. Conor can talk a lot of garbage too, back and forth. I think that would be a great build-up of a fight. Tony Ferguson's a former Ultimate Fighter winner. And I feel like this Conor Mayweather stuff is kind of a disservice to MMA. Right when MMA needs Conor, he's trying to fight a boxer. And it just, I don't know, it just doesn't add up to me. And then maybe hopefully we see that third fight with Conor and Nate eventually. I don't think there's one person that doesn't want to see that fight. First fight, Conor lost. Second fight, Nate won. So bring it back. Bring it back for the third fight, the trilogy. When will we see that? We may never see that. That is a harsh reality that could be. What does Floyd have to gain by this? Right now what Floyd is gaining is he's gaining relevance in his career at this stage at age 40. He's piggybacking off the biggest name in combat sports in Conor McGregor, riding his coattails to try and remain relevant. He knows that a boxing fight with many of the challengers that await him in boxing would not do as much business, and Conor knows that a fight between him and the opponents in the UFC would not do as much business as this fight would. Both guys have one thing in common. They love money, and that is one common ground that I think could lead this fight to happening. Do I think it will? Again, I think there's more of a chance that it will now than what I had ever thought there would be. So only time will tell. Do I think it will happen? In the back of my mind, no. I think Floyd is going to find a way to get out. I think Dana is going to find a way to get out and force Conor to fight Tony Ferguson at year's end at MSG once again. That is my take for Mayweather-McGregor. Conor stirs the pot up just a little bit, gets me to interact with you guys on the fight. I did not expect this to happen, where Conor would go to a boxing event and create some chatter. He is the best at generating interest in a fight, even if it's a fight that you do not necessarily care to see.